6, 7. As 3 millennials, we need to address this.
How we don't get it?
And I love that for you, Laura. And please stay right there. Don't think any more about it. Welcome to Millennial, the home of pretend adulting and real talk. I'm Andrew.
I'm Laura.
And I'm Pamela.
And I have to say, sometimes I'm really pleased by corporate America, which is not something I really love saying, but we know how Target decided to shut down their DEI policies because the Trump administration wanted them to do that. The administration was putting a lot of pressure on companies to just get rid of their DEI policies. Remember that when this happened, Costco made headlines because their board had voted not to get rid of their DEI policies, and people applauded that decision. Meanwhile, Target has been suffering ever since. Also, remember Bud Light. They got a lot of backlash from the right because of their campaign with a trans woman, and they capitulated to the right, and then Bud Light suffered in sales. They've continued to struggle. They're no longer number one. Costco, meanwhile, like I mentioned, stood their ground when it came to their DEI policies. And now Costco has sued the Trump administration over tariffs. This is the biggest company to join in this legal action against the Trump administration. Dozens of companies across industries have filed lawsuits to seek refunds in the event that the Supreme Court finds Trump's tariffs illegal. I was very pleased to see this, and I hope some MAGAs now stop going to Costco and protest, because I wouldn't mind if the crowds were a little less intense at Costco, especially this time of year.
That would be a nice added bonus. I'm with you there. MAGAs boycott Costco.
Am I wrong to assume MAGAs would be more partial to Sam's Club? Or is that like a gross oversimplification? It very well may be.
Oh.
Well, maybe they'll move to Sam's Club.
Yeah, that's true.
I have to say, I went to Sam's Club about a month ago for the first time, and I think I mentioned that in passing on air. I did not like it. It did not feel like home.
Do you know what's crazy to me about Sam's Club is when you leave, you just go through these magic arches that supposedly check your cart.
That is cool. I liked that.
Yeah, and also
I
you
haven't
can
experienced that.
you can pay on your app. Like you can scan things as you shop.
Yeah, and at
at
least
Sam's
in mine, it was like all self-checkout registers versus Costco. It's primarily human registers, which is not
Yeah.
necessarily a bad thing. But yeah, Sam's Club with, the Walmart money is a little more high tech, it
Some
seems.
crazy tech, yeah. But you're right, it doesn't feel like home. And some stuff is marked higher.
And the brands and the quality, it's
Right,
things are
exactly.
different
Yeah.
there.
Give me that Kirkland signature quality.
Mhm.
Although it is interesting to me to hear that Sam's Club doesn't have very many like frontline cashiers. It kind of tracks that the Walmart Corporation, is that what they're called? As a company for whom so many of its retail employees depend on like public assistance and food stamps because they don't pay for shit, it really does track that in their like premium membership, they'd be like, we don't pay anyone at all.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
it's all
exactly.
self-checkout. Costco.
That's how we keep prices low.
Yeah, Costco conversely pays their employees very well. So it actually makes a lot of sense to me that they would
And they
make
have
this
good
kind of move.
benefits.
Yeah. Also, they
And
have
you know
a
what?
great refund policy. So I'm supportive of Costco wanting to get their refund because they're very, very liberal when it comes to taking
Yeah.
things back.
Yeah, right, exactly. And I was also thinking, like, MAGA should not complain about this because Costco is suing the Trump administration to continue keeping their prices low for you, the customer. So everybody should be applauding this decision. Again, we're seeing a trend here where it's like you see some companies bending the knee, and then there's others. We've seen 2 great examples from Costco now being like, you know what, fuck this. And what's going to happen? Trump's going to share a tweet about them in the middle of the night? So what?
Yeah, speaking of tariffs, so every year at my mom's side of the family, we do a Secret Santa so that, nobody has to buy 20 gifts for 20 other people and so on and so forth. And anyway, so as the eldest granddaughter, the task is up to me to organize this and to nag everybody to sign up so that we can draw names. So we do this through Elfster, which is fine. And I sent a text to the family group chat and I'm like, hey guys, like you all should have gotten an Elfster invite. Please sign up ASAP. And also, if anybody's bringing like plus ones to the Christmas party and they want to do Secret Santa, please let me know ASAP so we can get them added and like nobody feels left out. And my uncle texts back and he's like, do you think we should raise the limit from $50 to $75 to allot for tariffs? And at first I thought he was joking. And then I'm like, oh no, he's serious.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, no. And I'm thinking to myself, like, does he really think that tariffs are going to be that big of an issue? Because it's like most people are shopping through Amazon anyway. And all you have to do to avoid getting charged tariffs through Amazon is make sure that your items are sold and fulfilled by Amazon or like shipped and fulfilled by Amazon. Because then they're already in the United States. You know what I mean?
Right. But also for this gather, you're buying one gift, right? It's not like he's buying something for. I could understand if he had to buy something for everyone, but it's one gift.
Yeah. And then I was thinking too, like tariffs is basically a tax, right?
Yeah.
And it also just seemed like a little cheap to be like, I need to have everybody up their spend limit so that I could allot for extra tax for a Christmas gift. Like every year when I shop for my Secret Santa, I'm not sitting there, you know, factoring in tax and shipping costs from the $50 spend.
No.
It's like, that's extra and that's fine. It's like, I'm looking for something that's $50 I think this person's going to like or that's on their wish list. And then I'm paying out of pocket for shipping and handling and tax. Not a big deal.
Yeah.
Also, $50 is a pretty good amount, I think,
still
so
in
2025.
I feel like it's kind of like too generous. I really think like I've been gunning to make it like $30-$40. And like it's honestly the adults that are like, no, everybody works now. Everybody should be able to afford a $50 gift. I'm like, so everybody gets something nice. And it's like, okay, like who's the child and who's the adult right now? This is insane. So I'm putting my foot down. We're not going past $50. I feel like that's generous enough. Good. We don't need $75 gifts.
No, I think that's right.
But see, you can have a self-imposed limit, right? So it's a $50 limit. That doesn't mean you have to spend $50.
Right.
If you find something for $30,
yes,
that's all I'm saying.
Yes,
if you find something for $30 and people figure out it was $30,
cheap. Yeah,
say there was a huge $20 tariff on it, so it actually was $50.
There you go. Shane in the Discord saying, I've been in charge of Secret Santa before. You have to manage everyone's drama. Example, I don't want that person. We are feuding. Yeah. So that has also happened to me before. And this year, too, I had to go in and put in draw restrictions. And maybe that's something that we could talk about in After Dark closer to Christmas, because it's like, honestly, and the fact that like most of this, too, is coming like not necessarily from my generation of adults, but from like the adults that raised us is insane.
Yeah. So I'm doing a Christmas party with friends next week, and we are doing a white elephant exchange, and we are going to do a $50 limit. And it felt high to me, but I was thinking, well, in light of prices going up over the last year, and also this is the first time this friend group has done this type of thing, let's have a little more flexibility in the prices.
You know, I've done that before, and it's like a white elephant, but the theme is like favorite things. So like everybody brings something up to $50 that is like one of your favorite products.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah. So it can be anything from like skincare to like dishes to just something that you enjoy. And so that way, like the idea is that like your friend, one of your friends walks away with something cool that they know has like your seal of approval.
Yeah. Yeah. What have I talked about on the show that I could get
a lot of stuff?
Not Function. That thing's really expensive.
I don't know. You recommended that garage, like the garage door opener last year for me.
That's
stuff like
true.
that, like, you know,
Yeah.
it could be like a cologne you like, some really nice like mixing bowls. It's like once you get into your 30s, like people get excited about anything like that.
That's true. A Labubu, that's like $35.
There you go.
If you can find them.
Yeah, but also it could be like it could be like, you know, like some like maybe like a gift basket of like, the $50 worth of your favorite Trader Joe's like non-perishables.
Ooh,
I'm sure somebody
yeah.
would be excited to get
like
that.
a little care package.
Mm-hmm.
Well, speaking of the end of the year, we're going to spend the next few weeks here at Millennial reflecting on 2025 and doing some looking ahead to 2026. But first, we have a couple of reminders for our pals, right, Laura?
Yeah, this show is brought to you by listeners like you. You can enjoy all of the hot goss behind the scenes in After Dark. And speaking of After Dark, what do we have going on behind the paywall today, Andrew?
I want to talk about a thought that I saw on TikTok, and it's going to be a big theme for me in 2026. Everyone wants a village, but no one wants to be a villager. And I have a story about someone who came out of the woodwork a few weeks ago, and this leech comes to me trying to ask for a favor after ignoring me for 2 years. I gave her the metaphorical middle finger. So we'll talk about that in After
Good
Dark
for
this
you.
week and how to no longer be taken advantage of. But it is an excellent time to become a patron because during this holiday shopping season, we are offering one of our best deals of the year. Now until December 18th, you can get an annual membership to our Patreon for 20% off. And that locks you into a year of content from your pals, and you'll be helping us run this show through 2026. This offer is open to new and former patrons.
You can also wear your love by visiting shop.millennialshow.com and grabbing official show gear. We'd also appreciate it if you told a fellow millennial about the show, and make sure you're following us in your favorite podcast app.
We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll talk about 6, 7, and the other moments that will always be tied to 2025. So, like I said, we're going to start reflecting on the year that was, and we're going to look at a bunch of phrases and moments and news that we'll always associate with 2025. We're going to start with one of the bigger ones, though. 6, 7. As 3 millennials, we need to address this.
How we don't get it?
And I love that for you, Laura. And please stay right there. Don't think any more about it. So I had heard about this a couple of months ago, and then South Park did an episode on it, and I knew it was big with the kids. I was like, okay. And then I went to Disney World about a month ago with my nephews, who are actually 6 and 7 years old, and I was shocked to see that kids as young as them knew it too. And the whole damn week, 6, 7, 6, 7. Though I must brag, we did that car ride at Disney World. It's like Autopia in Disneyland. It's the equivalent of Disney World. I am very proud to say that me and my nephew Austin were in vehicle 6, 7. So I was the coolest kid on the track while we did a lap around there. But I will also say that obviously Disney World is packed with kids all day, every day. You're hearing 6, 7 come up, and the kids light up when they hear these two numbers. Pam, has this been on your radar?
It has. And it's like, I mean, I don't get it, but we're not supposed to get it. And it doesn't really, you're not supposed to get, there's nothing to get. And I think that's the hardest part for people to digest, that there's no rhyme or reason behind it. But one of the things that I did find fascinating about this is obviously, like, we're nearing the end of the year, so you're getting a lot of these think pieces on big pieces of pop culture that happened. I didn't realize that like 6, 7 is a trend that has withstood almost the entire year. And that to me is fascinating, just because we're living in an age where things go in and out of fashion faster than most people can keep up with it. Usually by the time we hear about something like 6, 7 as millennials, because this is coming from Gen Alpha. This is not even like a Gen Z thing. This is like staunchly a Gen Alpha thing. It's already over and done with. So the fact that this is still huge amongst the kids that's impressive to me.
Yeah, I guess I wish I could ascribe some meaning to it. I'm not going to shit on it because, again, it's not for us. It's not for us, and that's okay. I'm not going to punch down on the kids. I hated it when the boomers did it to us. I'm not going to do it to them. But I wish I just could tie it to something tangible. Like, why is it funny? I just feel like
I think it's their version of our lol random.
Okay.
Or
you
it's
know?
exciting for them to see the
'Cause, like,
number 6, 7 come
yeah.
up.
No, but I just think it's like it's the same as
that's
like
the
the
order they go
the
in.
random humor was funny to us,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
just an
it's
inside
true.
joke at this point.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's exciting, Laura, for example, to be in car 6, 7 at Disney World, or you hear somebody say, I don't know, 6, 7 minutes. Oh, 6, 7. But Pam, to your point, we had a Bay hangout with our Bay level patrons on our Patreon last night, and we checked in with Laura M, who works in a school, and she was telling us 6, 7 is just as hot as ever. It really is hanging around. I think we need to declare a 2-week stay-at-home order and get all the kids away from each other for 2 weeks. And then maybe in that 2-week period, they will stop doing the 6, 7 thing. So President Trump, if you're listening, I beg you to please 2-week stay-at-home order.
Isn't that how COVID started? It was like, everyone go home for 2 weeks and we'll see you on the other side. And then this generation of kids missed out on like 2 years of in-person socialization. I feel like that may be why their brand of humor is the way it is. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing, because we are also a generation whose brand of humor is largely rooted in like national trauma. So maybe this is just their flavor, the COVID generation.
I mean, and also, like, who do you really have to blame but millennial parents? Because they're the ones that are raising
that's
Gen
true.
Alpha anyway. So
did millennials have an equivalent to 6, 7?
I'm telling you, it's the lull random humor of like the early 2000s. And
So that,
James is agreeing with me here. It's our XD RAR.
Yeah.
but you could explain that, or
No,
couldn't
you couldn't.
No.
Okay.
Because it was random. That's like the humor was lull random.
There was actually a thread about this on Reddit, and somebody said the equivalent of 6, 7 for millennials was when you would take your thumb and your index finger and do this, and you'd put it near your crotch and make somebody look. And then it was like you got them by making them look.
So wouldn't that be just the equivalent of the game? Like, I lost the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you can't like explain this, I guess, unless it's meant to mean you're holding a dick, or I don't know. So dictionary.com proclaimed 6, 7 as their word of the year, believe it or not. And dictionary.com said, perhaps the most defining feature of 6, 7 is that it's impossible to define. It's meaningless, ubiquitous, and nonsensical. In other words, it has all the hallmarks of brain rot. It's the logical endpoint of being perpetually online, scrolling endlessly, consuming content fed to users by algorithms trained by other algorithms. This is very fatalist. Dictionary.com is like, you know what? We're done. We're done with the internet here. This is rock bottom.
They're giving up. No, actually, that description makes it make sense to me, especially when we're talking about all of these like millennial adjacent comparisons. It's just internet brain rot. Got it.
Yeah. Yep. Well, I'll check in with my nephews in a few weeks and I'll see if it's still the hot thing to do. And what was also
maybe
interesting...
it won't be if you start using it, like, ironically.
So that's what I was just going to bring up. At least for my nephews, it doesn't bother them when the adults do it. They're just as into it as when other kids do it.
Because they're too little.
Yeah, they don't get that it's like not cool if older people do it.
Oh, yeah, because I remember when all of our parents first joined Facebook, and as a generation, we were collectively like, ugh, go away.
Well, it's also like when the adults got a hold of like the memes. Like, do you remember that one with the kid that was doing like the fist, and then they weren't like using it properly?
They oftentimes still don't meme properly.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right, well, moving on, let's continue with the phrases that will be tied to 2025. Crashing out. I think this one really blew up in 2025, right? This means when you're like, you're emotional, you're in your feelings.
Yeah. You're not handling it well. Like, I feel like that is really what captures crashing out, is when you're in your feels, like you said, but you're also like not managing your emotions well. And so you are having like kind of a public, visible, in a way, meltdown over something instead of rising above it.
Letting them. You're not letting
Yeah,
them.
you're
You
not
are
letting
crashing
them.
out. And I like that you say it happens on like a public platform because I think this has been used to describe Trump a lot this year.
Yeah.
He's crashing out over on Truth Social. I like that phrase. I hope it carries into 2026. I did just mention this one. Let them. Mel
Your
Robbins
favorite?
popularized this. Yeah. And I mean, it's hard to believe, but this book was published less than a year ago. It came out December 24th, 2024, which seems like an interesting choice for when to drop a new book.
Yeah. Wasn't this one of your recommendations for the new year, one of your New Year's resolutions that you were going to let them more?
But if it came out December 24th, what, did she steal the idea from me? Is that what you're
No. It was because of that. I think you had gotten into her. You were like an early adopter of Mel Robbins for whatever reason. It was earlier
Maybe.
this year.
Disciple.
Earlier this year.
It was earlier this year.
Yeah.
I do remember seeing one of my friends in the spring carry the book around. I was like, "What?" I did see her blow up on TikTok too earlier this year. So yes, you're on the right track, Laura. But yeah, let them's a good one. I think I like that phrase a lot because as Mel Robbins also put it, by letting them, you're kind of staying in control too.
You're not trying to control them. You're controlling your own reactions, and you're not trying to make somebody else behave in a certain kind of way or do a specific kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're relinquishing being a control freak, basically, is what I think Mel Robbins is trying to.
Yeah. And by doing so, you're maintaining power in a way
And
because
peace.
you made this decision and peace. Yeah. Hashtag protect your peace.
I wanted to throw, I don't know if this is strictly 2025. I feel like I became more aware of it this year, the use of the word coded, like to describe something as, oh, that's so millennial coded, in terms of like the types of fashion that somebody might be into, or if you were talking about something specific related to Pam, you might be like, oh, that's so Pam coded.
Yeah.
Like a really
So this kind of took over like the core.
yes,
right?
thank
Oh,
you. Yeah,
yeah.
instead of like
Like
millennial
Laura
core. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like
So
that.
yeah, just an
I-
evolution.
Yeah. So let's look at some moments that we'll remember from 2025. This is the main one that sticks out to me, the Coldplay incident. That was so good. It was made for the internet where those two people who worked together professionally, they went to a Coldplay concert together and the man was behind the woman and holding her from behind and the Coldplay cameras cut to them and they immediately both dived to the floor and it was clear that something bad just happened and their relationship was exposed. And they both stepped down. Didn't she work in HR too?
Yeah.
Fucking
She was like the
nuts.
head HR person.
And then that guy released the statement being like, oh, like our privacy was violated. It's like, you're the one that went to a public outing.
I think that ended up being fake.
Oh,
'Cause
was it?
Yeah.
Oh, I
'cause
hope
it was,
so,
like,
because that was
so
embarrassing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was a good reminder for everybody. I mean, the whole situation was so stupid. They're sitting like front row on an upper level. So even if the cameras didn't capture them, there were tens of thousands of people in that stadium who could have possibly been like, hey, wait, I know these two and they work together and they're not supposed to be caressing each other.
Right. Well, and also it's not like they traveled super far away for this concert,
Yeah.
right? Like it'd be one thing, I guess, if they traveled to a concert on the other side of the planet. Maybe it would be less
Yeah.
likely, but it's like you go in your own backyard.
Yeah. At least put
Yeah.
some effort into your cheating. My God.
Right.
What other moments?
Yeah, so I got a couple from earlier this year. Anyone remember when we lost, we being Americans, lost TikTok for 12 hours? And for one brief shining moment, the rest of the world had it all to themselves. And I think they
Yeah.
really enjoyed it. But then that was before Trump saved TikTok, and we all had to deal with that really annoying notification. It was like, thank you, President Trump, for saving TikTok. He wasn't even like sworn into office yet.
Right.
Right.
Yes, literally. That was, I'm glad you added this one. People were really scared about losing TikTok in the lead up to that 12-hour blackout. And it was understandable because putting addictions to TikTok aside, a lot of American businesses, particularly independent businesses, mom and pop shops, had really relied on TikTok as a source of business for them. Podcasts too. It's been huge for podcasts. So to lose that platform was scary. I really understand and sympathize from that level.
Well, not only that, but I think that and we're going to get to how much protesting we saw this year in just a little bit here, but I think for in a lot of those cases it was TikTok that was showing you the truth of what was going on in these places more so than what you were seeing on traditional public media, and I think losing that has huge ramifications.
Definitely. Do you guys remember that another Chinese app called Red Note took off when people started getting scared about TikTok?
Remember that.
The irony was people were just moving to another Chinese app.
Yeah.
Which was probably worse than TikTok from a privacy perspective.
I also wanted to call out something from earlier this year, the public execution of Drake during the Super Bowl by Kendrick Lamar.
So good.
Yeah.
I almost forgot that happened this year because this year, I don't even know what to say about it. It's been 300 years long. But this was such a bright moment early on, especially because Trump was there at this performance.
Oh, yeah.
And the performance was just iconic in so many different ways, down to the song choice, down to the choreography, like everything about it said so much that, to be honest, would have gone right over whatever dead animal he has on top of his head. But I was there for the vibes. And also, I just remember that moment where everyone kind of gasped because he actually said Drake's name. There was a lot of debate beforehand where they were like, okay, like he'll have to do Not Like Us, but is he actually going to name drop Drake? And he looked deadpan down the camera and did it. I loved it.
Yeah. And now Bad Bunny will be leading the 2026 Super Bowl halftime show. And MAGA got very upset about that because it wasn't a white person taking on the show.
They thought it wasn't an American because everybody conveniently forgets Puerto Rico is part of America.
Yeah. Yeah. So luckily that's blown over for now, but we'll see Bad Bunny's performance. I'm sure it's going to upset people in a variety of ways.
Whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So let's look at some news. I think one of the biggest stories this year was and continues to be the Epstein files. They're supposed to be released like for reals now, but that's shockingly taking a long time to actually happen. And I feel like people have stopped talking about it since that vote a couple weeks ago. I hope that the heat ramps up again because we shouldn't let that go now that just because there was a vote that we still don't have the files.
Americans have such short attention spans, and this is why I maintain, I know I said this a couple of weeks ago, I just don't know if it's actually going to matter. It should matter. Let's be totally clear about it. It should matter. But the problem is there's enough of it that's already out and public that is bad enough that hasn't really caused anything. What was it? I forget, someone prominent who was also serving as a guest lecturer at a prominent university, like he had to resign. So there have been a couple of cases like that, but not any of the heavy hitters, if you will.
If photos, video come out, that could potentially be very damning for certain high-level people in the Trump administration or former presidents. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. Hopefully all these will come out in 2026. I mean, there are certain people in Congress who aren't going to let this go. That heat is going to ramp up again. Maybe now because it's the holiday season, they're like, oh, fuck it. We'll circle back in 2026.
It kind of feels like they're winding down because, they want to be able to go home for Christmas. Congress doesn't want to be in session for that much longer, even though they weren't in fucking session for like 2 months.
Yeah. That must be nice to take a 2-month vacation and then you get another holiday vacation like right on the back of the last one.
We'll see. It works for them because the members still get paid, but all the federal workers
Yeah.
had to deal with not getting paid for several
Yeah.
weeks. It was terrible. Thought that we could also talk about ICE, immigrations and border control, our wonderful discount Timu police force that's snatching people off the streets and everything. Obviously, not a light story, but there have been so many ICE fails this year that we thought could be fun to banter about. First of all, let's just talk about all the cities that have trolled ICE. We got to start with Portland.
Yeah, Portland really kind of set the bar, so to speak, in terms of, I think, encouraging a lot of these other cities to fight back. Not to say that, LA hadn't done a good job before, but I feel like Portland always takes it to a whole new level. They're extremely liberal up there. We notably saw quite a few people showing up to protest in those blow up costumes. And I thought that this was a really clever concerted effort, because the idea behind that, while it is really funny to see, is that you should be laughing at how ridiculous it is that the president is insisting that the National Guard is necessary to protect the cities from, the scary liberals dressed in blow-up costumes. How far are they actually going to run if they're getting chased down the street from
Yeah.
ICE? And how silly is it going to look if the National Guard is beating down on somebody dressed up as a blow-up T-Rex, for example?
And I remember one day Christy Nome was on the top of a building in Portland and talking about all the horrible things going on. And the camera pans around and it's a beautiful, clear, warm day in Portland. And there's some people dressed in frog costumes on the street. It was a horrible visual representation for them because there actually was no issues in Portland.
Do you remember when, God, I forget what establishment it was, but they wouldn't let she and her posse in to use the bathroom?
Yeah.
Wasn't that in Chicago?
Oh, it was in
It may have
Chicago.
been.
You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was some federal building too, wasn't it?
Yeah, but they
Yeah.
had just arrested somebody that was elected into office too, and there was an incident with
Oh,
somebody,
okay.
an elected official.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, that sounds about right. But yeah, Chicago's been another heavy focus this year. I feel like I got to pay some special love to Charlotte because that's been one of ICE's most recent deployments. And I think they were there all of 48 hours before they were like, okay, we're going to leave. I think they threatened to go to New Orleans after that. But it was basically yeah, y'all came down to Second Amendment country. And people I think people make the mistake of thinking that everyone in the South is MAGA. And a lot of people in the South are MAGA. A lot of us aren't. But the one thing everyone has in common is that we don't like the fucking government coming in and telling us what to do.
Damn
So
right.
the sight of Granny coming out with her shotgun and being get out, them chasing ICE officers in the woods was priceless. And also just love the visual of scaring ICE into making them go into the woods in Appalachia. Just goes to show you they don't know the territory that they're in.
Right.
It's been really wonderful to see the civil response that people have had, the peaceful response that really makes it look like the joke that it is. And I think the hard part is that they're still doing a lot of harm to people. It's still incredibly dangerous because these are just masked vigilantes. I mean, they're
Yeah.
covering their faces. They don't have, a lot of them don't have any official, uniforms or badge ID numbers or anything like that. They don't want to be caught on camera because they know they'll be ostracized. But something else that I thought was funny is women this year have kind of like they did with January 6ers, they've started targeting ICE officers that they believe to have found on dating apps and kind of reporting them, obviously not to the government. Government doesn't care, but like making it known who they are. And there's just tons of examples of ICE fails. There's this really great article from the LA Times titled "Who Knew ICE Could Be So Funny?" And it's a perfect representation of all the videos that you'll see of like ICE trying to chase somebody down and just not having the level of physical fitness required in order to do it.
Yeah.
Being out, like literally being on bicycles and being outrun by somebody on foot.
Well, and the opposite of that, in Chicago, there was a person ICE was trying to pursue on a bike, and there was like 20 ICE agents trying to get him, and he was like going around in circles, and they still couldn't catch up to him, and then he just pedaled away, and they gave up so quickly. And one of these ICE agents was wearing a cowboy hat, being all tough, like, look at me, I'm a sheriff. Nope, these guys can't even catch, 20 of these guys can't catch one person on a bike while they're all surrounding him. It was really bad. And then there was another video where two ICE agents are chasing a guy, and one of the agents trips and falls, which is just, it's wonderful to see them flailing like this.
Yeah. And who remembers when they had to relax the physical requirements for recruitment in ICE? Because I believe the physical examination required was like you had to be able to do 15 push-ups, 20 crunches, and like run a mile and a half in 14 minutes. And like a third of recruits couldn't do it, which granted, I couldn't do that in 14 minutes, but I'm not out here trying to be a masked vigilante. So like embarrassing for y'all, but it is really funny because they had to like lower a lot of requirements around like your level of physical fitness, but also like age. It really got to a point where it felt like, hey, if you can fog up this mirror, you can be an ICE.
So unfortunately, ICE will still be a factor in 2026, but yep, hopefully we will see more flailing. In other political news, Dick Cheney died.
Yeah, that was a flash in the pan.
Yeah.
Everybody forgot about it because that was also election day when Dems won big.
Yeah.
But I wanted to
take it.
I heard a rumor and I wanted to verify with y'all. The rumor I heard was that No One Mourns the Wicked topped the charts on Spotify that day that Cheney died. Do we know if that's true?
No, but that's incredible. It's kind of similar to how they were like worried about. I think it was like the Wicked production in London's West End opening with "Good News, She's Dead" on the day the Queen died.
I saw that the other day. There was literally video being like, guys, we're going to do this show as written.
Yeah,
but
like they were
Queen
worried
did
about
die.
offending.
Yeah.
Right. I think sometimes people think a little too hard about things.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, what are they going to do? Like, change the show just because the Queen died that day? It was kind of a weird thing to even have to tell people.
Yeah, I know.
And it really says more when you do make that statement at the start of the show that like, oh yeah, good news, she's dead.
So we got a new pope in May. It feels like 2025 was the longest year. Like so much happened. So we lost Pope Francis, and then there was a conclave, and we got Pope Leo, and he's the first American pope, so that's a pretty big deal. He's from Chicago, Illinois, and hasn't obviously been in the position for very long, but I know a lot of eyes are on that. I don't know if there's very much else to say with regards to that. Obviously, like none of us here are super religious, but I just think that, it's just like the process is just fascinating and it's probably like, one of the only maybe like handful of times we'll see it happen in our lifetime. So
yeah,
it's pretty significant.
Like you said, I'm not religious, but I was genuinely excited by this news. I think it's we lived through history seeing
Yeah.
the first American Pope be elected.
And
that was
he
really
was
cool.
kind of he was a dark horse too, because I think that the worry was like we maybe should think about like the ramifications of giving America too much power, because the Pope has a lot of influence across
Right.
the world. So yeah, it is a big deal from that standpoint as
Yeah.
well.
But fortunately, this Pope, not going to say that he's the most anti-Trump figurehead, but he's also been pretty clear with calling out a lot of the BS that the U.S. has been doing this year. But I think we also can't forget, while we're talking about the Pope, that J.D. Vance killed the Pope. That's why the last Pope died.
Oh, of course. That's
Yeah.
right.
Oh, that's the bigger story here.
Yeah.
How could we
Wow.
forget?
Well, and then he
Yeah.
met the new Pope, like, immediately, and the world held its breath. They were like, no, stay
Yeah,
away.
the new Pope was like, oh, shit. Yeah. But yeah, it was exciting. I think at the time I also said I wanted to watch some of these Pope movies and TV shows, like during all the Pope hype when they were selecting the new Pope. But then before I could even get started, they'd selected the new Pope. And at that point, I was sort of just over the idea of conclave and all these other looks at the Vatican. Also, this was a big topic this year. According to RFK Jr., acetaminophen causes autism, and we all learned how to pronounce acetaminophen.
Well,
Except for Trump. He still couldn't do it when he was talking about
I
it.
was going to say, to him, that word is Tylenol.
Yeah. And he was very hard on Tylenol this year.
Yeah.
I think some of us thought Tylenol would sue because he was
I'm
doing some
shocked they
serious damage
didn't.
to the brand.
Yeah. That's a
Take
huge
this-
defamation lawsuit. They should sue.
Yeah.
Trump's sue happy anyway. He deserves to get sued.
Take this with a grain of salt, but I heard somebody observe that somebody who's like deeply connected to Tylenol is a huge Trump donator or something like that. So he wouldn't want, but that could explain why the hell they haven't sued. Yeah, I mean, this seems like a huge defamation lawsuit. I'm angry Tylenol didn't. F him.
Yeah. Well, over on the entertainment news front, we got the shocking news in May that Stephen Colbert has been canceled. His late night show has been canceled by CBS. This was a pretty big deal because CBS basically cited that it was too expensive to keep the show running, which is insane because Colbert's show has been leading the ratings over there. And it became pretty clear that it really was an issue of trying to make good with the FCC in wanting to acquire some new media brands as well, and hoping that if they pulled the plug on Colbert, who has been very outspoken against the Trump administration, that the FCC might rule in their favor and allow them to move forward with the acquisitions that they wanted to make. So it was not a good look for CBS. And then we kind of got a part two of this later on in the summer when Jimmy Kimmel was pulled from the airwaves as a result of some comments he made about Charlie Kirk's death that kind of got taken out of context depending on who you ask. And it was another similar situation, which is that the parent companies, a lot of these larger distributors got really scared that keeping Kimmel after those polarizing comments on air would mess with their ability to gain favor with the FCC. So we all learned a lot about the FCC and what they do and what they're responsible for and what they can and can't control and why this was a big issue outside of, like Colbert and Kimmel specifically being big figures in late night, but what it could mean for like the future of free speech in late night as well. And I think that was one of our strongest episodes. So maybe we can link to that in the show notes because it's a good one to look back on and refresh yourselves on because it was a pretty big entertainment story for sure.
The Colbert stuff was disappointing and sad, but it was also like a slow draw. He's still on the air. He didn't have the carpet yanked out from under him.
Right.
But Kimmel,
which is crazy,
and it's still wrong that it's happening. But the Kimmel stuff was scary. He got yanked off the air, and Disney wasn't really commenting, and Trump felt vindicated. He was taking credit for it. And I was really worried that was going to cause a snowball effect where other people might get canceled because they were afraid of Trump. Disney and ABC and Bob Iger, and I guess it's Dana Walden who heads up ABC, were afraid of Trump. It's disgusting. And we've seen other news networks change too. Over in CBS World, 60 Minutes.
Yeah. It is crazy to me that they're letting Colbert stick it out through 2026, which is when the show will shutter, just because Colbert has never really given a fuck, and he especially gives no fucks now that, the show's getting canceled. Something also to point out about this is that the Writers Guild, which is the union that for writers in entertainment, including for late night, they're investigating whether or not this could be a legal issue. There could be legal ramifications for these networks as a result of why they did this, because it's not really. I think that, like, when you think about stories like this, you also need to remember that it's not just like Colbert and Kimmel, who are very financially well off, that could potentially take financial hits. It's smaller people that work on the staff. So it's crew members and writers and lighters and riggers and things like that. So a lot of people are out of jobs. Or could have been if Kimmel had remained off air, but will be when Colbert officially shutters his show.
So interesting how Trump wants more jobs, but then applauds when people lose their jobs, be it in the government, in TV, etc. For anybody curious, Colbert will be leaving the air in May 2026, and his show continues to be great. I love watching his monologues, but I'm sure that final month of episodes is going to be really, really special. So,
yeah, he must have some antics planned. There's no way he doesn't.
Special guests. I remember when Letterman was leaving, he had so many amazing guests return to the air. It's going to be good.
Well, I know we talked about tariffs at the top of the show, but we can't forget to talk about when the penguins got tariffed. So this was back in April. A group of barren, uninhabited volcanic islands near Antarctica, Heard Island and the McDonald Islands, which are actually territories of Australia, which was not something I knew, had been announced as some of the countries that were going to be receiving 10% tariffs or having 10% tariffs levied against them. And it very quickly came out no people live here. As a matter of fact, a person has not been here, as far as we know, in over a decade. And it's pretty much just penguins and other wildlife. Nothing is produced here. Nothing is exported from here, but go off. And it was just so embarrassing for the White House, because they came out with just this blanket list of basically every country. And they just had a tariff percentage slapped next to it. And it was very clear that nobody bothered to look into anything. They probably got it from ChatGPT, if I'm being honest. But what I loved about this was, at the time, the Australian Prime Minister said nowhere on earth is safe from Trump's tariffs.
Liberation Day, Trump called that, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Beautiful. Just like Infrastructure Day went just as well. Those poor penguins.
And then finally, we wanted to highlight the big Louvre heist, which also was a big internet moment. So this actually happened recently, back in October, and it was thieves that were disguised as construction workers, and they stole 8 pieces of French crown jewels from the Louvre in under, I think it was 30 minutes maximum. So this was a really well-oiled job, and they have since arrested some suspects, but the jewels remain unrecovered and probably won't be recovered, because, as I understand it, usually what happens when jewelry does get stolen is you can't sell these iconic pieces, but they break them down and then sell the raw materials too.
You sure know a lot about that process, Pam.
Yeah,
Ooh.
you know me.
Hey, I watched Ocean's 8. Isn't that kind of what they do in that movie?
Pretty much, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. It was so shocking, because it's of all places for jewelry to be successfully stolen from, the Louvre would probably be at the bottom of the list. You have to think they have all that stuff locked down. But no, those guys got away with it.
Yeah.
Well, we did ask our pals at our Bay Hangout last night what they will remember from 2025, and we'll get to that in a moment. But first, I wanted to mention another outlet that issued its decision for Word of the Year. The Cambridge Dictionary said the word of the year for 2025 is parasocial, which is a word we were talking about a few years ago, so you may find it a little surprising that it's this year's word of the year. But Cambridge said, as social media intensifies the intimacy that fans feel with their adored celebrities, and with the rise in popularity of AI companions that can take on personalities, the word for these one-way relationships, parasocial, is having its own moment. And I agree with them from the perspective of people have really built up relationships with their AI bots. Earlier this year, ChatGPT launched ChatGPT 5, and people had become really attached to ChatGPT 4.0. They liked the relationship and the personality that they had with it. And then ChatGPT launches 5.0, doesn't give people a chance to revert back to 4.0, at least at the beginning. And people were genuinely upset. Their friends were gone.
Yeah. You know what this reminds me of? I saw a piece this year. It was on some local news network, but it was about this guy who was literally in a romantic relationship with his AI companion, but he was in a committed relationship with a woman with whom he had a child. And they did this whole piece and they interviewed his girlfriend, and like he hadn't popped the question to her. He wasn't like prioritizing that part of their lives. And she had kind of reached her wit's end and been like, it's either me or the bot.
Oh, man.
And he just wouldn't let it go. It was wild.
Sounds like a new season of The Ultimatum on Netflix to me.
It does. Or like a Black Mirror episode.
Yeah.
Like, oof.
That's so sad.
I know.
I'm not surprised, though. Oh. We're going to take one more break today, and then we're going to ask our pals what they will remember from 2025. We'll be right back. So, what will our listeners remember from 2025? And I was trying to steer them towards things that are truly unique in 2025, were born in 2025. So even if you're super into Stranger Things right now, that didn't start in 2025. Let's name things that began in 2025. Angeli said one of the Netflix surprises of the year, K-pop Demon Hunters.
Yeah, a lot of hype around
Super
this.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And Netflix, I think, ordered a sequel, right? They're doing another movie now?
I believe so. But the music's up for Grammy nomination. So.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Did you two watch this?
Mm-hmm.
I have
It's
not
really
yet.
good.
I watched
It's worth watching.
like the first half hour, which I think was enough because apparently all the good songs are just in the front half of the movie. But yeah, it was cool. I get why people are into it. And the sequel is aiming for a 2029 release. So we're going to be waiting a while for that.
Huge Halloween costume this year for the kids, too. The K-pop
Yeah.
Demon Hunters.
Yeah. A surprise hit like that is really fun to see. Just something you don't see coming, you know?
Yeah.
Makes you excited for the future. Speaking of surprises, I guess, Laura M. brought up the Taylor Swift engagement. Pam, was that an exciting moment for you this year?
Oh, yeah. My close personal friend Taylor got engaged. I feel like people kind of figured that they would be endgame, but I think that what was surprising about this is that they chose to openly announce the engagement, and also the fact that they were able to keep this under wraps until they chose to announce it, I think is like particularly incredible. I will never forget watching TMZ like scrambling to put this news up because they found out on air just like everybody else when this post went up.
Right.
So I think that that's just like good for them that they were able to tell the world on their own terms.
Mm-hmm.
So Pam, do you predict that the wedding will happen in 2026?
I think so. I think that it'll happen. Well, here's the thing. I don't know very much about football, but I have a feeling they're going to wait until he retires and she has she'll have some time off too because she intends to take some time off now that the Eras Tour is over. It's been a whirlwind for her, so I understand wanting to take a break. But with from what I understand, and at least from all these interviews that she's given lately, it's the football season keeps them both pretty busy. So I could see them wanting to wait until they have time to dedicate to that.
So, Pam, I want to ask you about this next one from Tiara. She brought up Spencer and Heidi. Spencer and Heidi both Pratt?
Spencer and Heidi Pratt, as made famous by the Laguna Beach spinoff, The Hills, right? So we all remember Laguna Beach, The Real OCs, this documentary from the early 2000s. And then it gave birth to The Hills, which was then following Lauren Elsie Conrad on her journey to trying to make it in LA. And this is where we meet Spencer and Heidi, who were just dating and then they got married. Not very well loved reality TV stars, but they've since gotten a second wind on TikTok like a lot of other people that were famous in the early 2000s. And I think people just really love them, one, because they're familiar, and two, because they just seem so much more relatable than they did back in the early 2000s. And they were one of the many that lost their home in the Palisades fire. And right around this time, Heidi, who had tried to make it as a pop star in the early 2000s, her singles started charting again. And so they were basically encouraging fans to stream the singles so that they could make money off the royalties and put that towards rebuilding their lives after the fires. So I thought that this was really clever and people really took it to heart. And it was just, I think even Tiara had mentioned when we were asking about this, that it was nice to see that, instead of just asking for money, they were saying just go stream this song and it'll help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's something anybody can do for free. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll put it on mute on my computer and hit loop. Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and what's also interesting to me about this is that Spencer and Heidi are now showing themselves how they want to, whereas when they were on television, they were beholden to the producers and editors. And I think a lot of celebrities who grew up on television in the 90s and the 2000s, primarily through TV shows, now have an opportunity to write their images because they may have been painted in inauthentic ways. So if their images are changing for the better, I think that's great for them. And I'm happy for them that the internet has given them that opportunity. Sometimes the internet can be good.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Camille said she will remember La Boo Boos from 2025. I can't remember. I didn't think of this one because I've documented some of my La Boo Boo collecting here.
You're getting outfits for your La Boo Boos to go on cruise with you.
I bought a Halloween costume for my La Boo Boo. He was a dinosaur for Halloween because we were flying on Halloween. So I thought, let's get him dressed up. And yeah, I mean, I've got 2 official ones and 1 fake one, aka Ella Fufu. I'm done. I'm not getting any more. I still maintain that it is just another Beanie Baby, and it probably will wane in popularity in 2026. But you know what? Let's find joy where we can. Labubu's have won me over this year, and I love seeing Labubu's hanging on people's backpacks and bags and whatever else.
One day you'll sell them on eBay.
If they're worth anything by that point. I guess I should sell now. Finally, Alyssa said we can't forget about Katy Perry and the others who went to space back in April. Gayle King was another one who went up there.
This I definitely forgot about.
Yeah, same.
Space in air quotes. They went to suborbit on Jeff Bezos's Blue Origin. And I think what bothered everybody about Katy Perry was that she also announced her album or tour while up in the air. You remember that?
Yeah.
No.
Stupid.
And she was also being very self-aggrandizing about all of it. And everyone was like, calm down, Katie. It's not that big of a deal. And now she's dating Justin Trudeau. Have you guys heard of that?
What?
I saw the photos of them stepping out.
I legitimately, the first time I heard about this, I was like, that's fake. That's not real.
It's so random.
It is. Those are two worlds I did not see colliding, but here we go.
The heart wants what it wants.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I get it from Katy Perry's perspective. I would want to date a former Canadian prime minister. Well, thanks everybody who contributed to this list. And listeners, please feel free to write in with what stood out to you from 2025. Leave a comment on Spotify or YouTube, or email millennialshow@gmail.com, or hit us up on social, whatever's easiest for you. Don't forget, we'd appreciate your support at patreon.com/millennial. And right now we are running a discount, 20% off an annual membership. If you pledge by December 18th, that'll set you up for another year of Millennial, including lots of After Dark gossip waiting for you then, now, and in the future. And this week, I'm going to talk about somebody who really pissed me off a few weeks ago. And
boy.
like I said earlier, everyone wants a village, but no one wants to be a villager. Let's get to some recommendations, and the gays are very happy this week. I said I love corporate America earlier when talking about Costco. I got to hand it to HBO for deciding to air this one. Heated Rivalry. This is based on the book of the same name. It is a very graphic, very horny, gay TV show. And we gays and allies are losing our minds over this show. I promise you, it's like nothing you've seen.
So we should check it out.
Yes, and you will be horny by the end of it. Guaranteed.
Ooh, okay. Big words.
It's a show the likes of which we've never seen before.
Just like I predicted in 2024. No, seriously, it's like woof. So yeah, it's pretty good actually. It's not just like, oh, I like it for the sex scenes and they're super hot. It's actually like not a bad premise either.
Is it a foreign production?
It is.
That's probably why it's so like horny in a nice way. I say that with like love, peace and love. But mostly because I just feel like international properties, they're not as like scared to push the envelope.
It came out of Canada actually, which shouldn't surprise people because of hockey. It airs on Crave in Canada, and HBO Max brought it over. So
all right.
Thank you, David Zaslav. I like you in this case.
I want to do a recommendation, and I'll link this in the show notes for the Consumer Class Action Lawsuit Database. I remember I recommended this a couple of years ago, but I was reminded of it because I recently got like $38 from the Facebook like privacy class action lawsuit that was going on recently. And I texted Andrew and Pam last night showing the confirmation of my $38. And we were like, oh yeah, we should talk about this again on the show. So wanted to bring that one back up again. The Consumer Class Action Lawsuit Database, it can really work out in your favor. I got 91 cents from TikTok, which but $38 from Facebook? Okay.
Oh, that's great.
Is that worth the privacy violation? No, but
But that'll buy you a dinner from Uber Eats.
Yeah.
Like a very nice dinner.
Exactly.
When else are you going to make $38 from Facebook?
Right.
So I say, hell yeah.
And I wanted to recommend what I feel like these are very like they're like best kept secrets, but there are privately owned public open spaces in a lot of major cities, including a bunch in San Francisco, sometimes better known as popos. And these are just like, sometimes they're terraces, sometimes they're rooftops, sometimes they're like indoor lobbies that you have access to as a member of the public. And they were created basically because of city zoning ordinances. And I think a lot of people just don't know that they exist. And so I know that sometimes when I'm in downtown San Francisco, for example, I need like a place to work out of, and I don't, I can't find a seat at a coffee shop, or it's not feasible, but I'm downtown. So sometimes I'll just look up to see if there are any of these popos near me. And then I'll just go up there and chill. And a lot of them are like really nice. And I know San Francisco is not the only city that has them. So it's worth it to check to see if your city has something like this, because they're free to use. And they're great for like little lunch spots or little meeting spots, or, places to take your computer, for example.
That's really cool.
That is
cool. And I see San Francisco has a site dedicated to showing you where these are.
There's a lot of really, really nice ones in downtown area.
Very cool. Thanks, everybody, for listening. After Dark starts in a moment for patrons and Apple Podcast subscribers. I'm Andrew.
I'm Laura.
And I'm Pamela.
See you next week.
Bye. Bye.